Gregory Marshall arrived at the cafe 15 minutes early, as was his habit. At 59, he'd built a financial consulting empire through discipline and punctuality. His personal life, however, remained a disaster. This blind date was his sister's doing. Again, "You can't spend the rest of your life alone, Greg," she'd said. "Just meet her. Her name is Claire. She's nice. You'll like her." He'd heard that before. Nice women who wanted to marry money. Nice women who saw a successful CEO and ignored the awkward, introverted man underneath. Gregory ordered coffee and checked his watch. The woman was late. Then the door opened. A woman rushed in, breathless and apologetic. She wore a simple cardigan over jeans, her light brown hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked frazzled, tired, and somehow familiar. She scanned the cafe, spotted him, and her face went pale. "Greg?" she whispered. And suddenly he knew. The shape of her face, the way she tilted her head, the spray of freckles across her nose. "Annie?" His voice cracked. "Annie Sullivan?" She stood frozen for a moment, then slowly approached the table. "I didn't know," she said. "Your sister just said Gregory. I didn't make the connection." "Sit down," he managed, "please." She sat, and for a long moment they just stared at each other. Annie Sullivan, his first love, his only love, if he was being honest. The girl he'd known from age 8 until 18. The girl who'd lived next door in the smallest house on the block. The girl whose laugh had sounded like music. The girl who'd disappeared the day after high school graduation, 35 years ago. "You look the same," Gregory said, though it wasn't quite true. She looked older, worn down by life in a way that broke his heart. But her eyes were the same, kind and deep and seeing. "You're a terrible liar," Annie replied with a small smile. "But thank you." The waitress came. Annie ordered the cheapest thing on the menu, just coffee. Gregory noticed, but didn't comment. "Your sister didn't tell you my last name?" Annie asked. "Just Claire. I assumed it was your first name." "It's my middle name. I go by it now. Started using it after I moved back to town 3 years ago." Annie felt like someone else's name. "Why did you leave?" The question had haunted him for 35 years. "You were there one day, gone the next. No goodbye, no explanation. I went to your house. Your mom said you'd moved away. That was it." Annie looked down at her coffee. "My mom got pregnant. She wasn't married. It was a scandal back then, remember? The neighbors were cruel, your parents especially." Gregory felt shame wash over him. His parents had been rigid, judgmental people. He remembered his mother's whispered comments about that Sullivan woman. "Mom was terrified," Annie continued. "She had no job, no money, a baby on the way. So she moved us to her sister's place in Ohio. I had to leave everything behind, including you. You could have written, called. I was 18, Greg, ashamed. My mom made me promise not to contact anyone from our old life. She said we were starting over, leaving the gossip behind. And you were about to go to college, start your big life. I thought you'd forget about me." "I never forgot," Gregory said quietly. "I looked for you, for years. But Sullivan is a common name, and I didn't know where you'd gone." Annie's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry. I should have found a way. What happened after you left?" She took a deep breath. "Community college while helping mom with my baby brother. Married at 23, had 2 kids, divorced at 35 when I found out my husband was cheating, moved back here 3 years ago when mom got sick. She passed last year. I'm sorry about your mom. She had a hard life," Annie said, "but she did her best, and now I'm a nanny. I take care of 2 little boys for a family in Riverside. I rent a small apartment. My kids are grown. My daughter's in Seattle. My son's in the military. I'm just trying to get by." The weight of her words settled between them. While he'd been building an empire, she'd been surviving. "And you?" Annie asked. "Your sister said you're successful. CEO of something important, financial consulting firm. I built it from nothing over 30 years. Married? Was. Briefly in my 30s. It didn't work out, no children, just work, I suppose." Annie studied his face. "You always said you were going to do big things. Looks like you did." "Did I?" Gregory asked. "I have money and an empty house. I work 70 hours a week because I have nothing else to do. I don't call that success anymore." The cafe grew quiet around them. Other customers came and went. but Gregory and Annie sat in their bubble of shared history. "Do you remember the treehouse?" Annie asked suddenly. Gregory smiled. "How could I forget? We spent every summer there, planning our futures. You were going to be a teacher. I was going to be an architect. Life had other plans," Annie said softly. "It usually does." They talked for 2 hours, about the old neighborhood, about the people they'd known, about dreams deferred and paths not taken. Finally, Annie checked her phone. "I need to get home. I have to work early tomorrow." Outside, Gregory walked her to her car, an old sedan that had seen better days. "Annie," he said, "Claire. Whatever you want to be called. Can I see you again?" She hesitated. "Greg, I'm not who I was. I'm a single mom with baggage and debt and a life that's a million miles from yours. Your sister set this up thinking I was someone else, someone appropriate for a CEO. I don't want someone appropriate," Gregory said. "I want someone real. And Annie, you're the most real person I've ever known. What if we're just chasing nostalgia?" she asked. "What if we're just two lonely people trying to recapture something that never really existed? Then we'll find out together," Gregory replied. "But I spent 35 years wondering what happened to you. Now that I've found you again, I'm not walking away. Not unless you tell me to." Annie looked at him for a long moment. "I can't afford fancy restaurants or the kind of life you're used to. I don't want fancy restaurants. I want conversation with someone who knew me before I became successful, someone who liked me when I was just an awkward kid with big dreams." "You were never just anything," Annie said softly. "You were always extraordinary, to me." 3 months later, Gregory sat in Annie's tiny apartment, helping her kid set up a video call. On the screen, her daughter Rachel smiled. "So you're the famous Greg from Mom's Stories," Rachel said, "the one who got away." "I prefer to think your mom was the one who got away," Gregory replied. "I'm just lucky enough to get a second chance." After the call, Annie made simple pasta for dinner. No catering, no fancy ingredients, just food made with care. "I'm putting an offer on a house," Gregory said as they ate. 3 bedrooms. Nice yard. Room for your kids when they visit. Annie set down her fork. "Greg, we've been dating for 3 months. I know. And I've wasted 35 years. I don't want to waste any more time. I'm not asking you to move in. I'm just saying there's space for whatever you need, whenever you need it. That's too much." "It's not enough," Gregory said firmly. "Annie, I have more money than I'll ever spend. Let me use it for something that matters. Let me help. I don't want to be a charity case." "You're not. You're the woman I should have fought for 35 years ago. I can't change the past, but I can show up now. If you'll let me." Annie's eyes filled with tears. "I'm not used to people showing up." "Get used to it," Gregory said, "because I'm not going anywhere. Sometimes the best love stories are the ones that take decades to finish. Sometimes the person you lost at 18 is the person you find again at 59. Sometimes coming home means finding the one who always felt like home." Gregory had searched for success in boardrooms and bank accounts, but he'd found it in a café, sitting across from a woman whose freckles he'd memorized 35 years ago. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below about a lost love or a second chance that changed your life. Sometimes the longest journeys bring us exactly where we're meant to be.